Get this figure and more at the Big Bad Toy Store. Oh, I've waited so long to say that. Hey, my name is Jobby, and this character is voiced by John Goodman. I'd say John Goodman deserves a little better than Michael Bay.
Fucking dog has fucking papers. Over the line!
John Goodman is a highly underrated actor. I mean, he does get a lot of love, but not nearly as much as he deserves. Big Lebowski, Monsters Inc., 10 Cloverfield Lane, fuck, even the Flintstones. It could be any goddamn movie, John Goodman makes everything better. With the possible exception of Autobot Hound. I'm just messing with you. I can't really say anything about Hound as a character because I haven't seen Age of Extinction or The Last Night, and I refuse to this very day. But I have to assume he was good, right? Leave a comment down below if you were brain dead enough to go watch those movies. That was a joke. Watch whatever the hell you want. Just stop trying to shove your religion down my throat. The painting and the sculpting on this figure is amazing. What? This figure has a surprising amount of mechanical detail for a Voyager class figure. And for anyone who's not familiar with the different classes of Transformers figures, you have a life. Let's move on. I can't say much about the figure's movie accuracy because of course I haven't seen those movies, but holy hell, this is a great design for a Transformer. According to a highly detailed explanation on the back of the box, Hound is a munitions expert. The details on this figure reflect that description. He's got a bunch of pouches, a grenade here, a grenade there, what looks like some ammunition, very obvious rocket, and a detail that I just noticed, oh, some brass knuckles. Good for the kid. So the details on this guy are really impressive, but the painting is serviceable. I mean, I'm perfectly fine with all the green parts being unpainted. That just makes the figure that much more playable. Kind of fucked up my own meme there, but I wish those tiny details were painted as well. But that's not really a valid complaint when you take into consideration that you can paint it your own goddamn self, which I might do in the future once I murder all my cats. They kind of took over my painting area. But the painting that's here, perfectly fine and perfectly clean. Except for his beard. I'm not the biggest fan of the idea of Transformers having facial hair. I know it's been a thing since G1, but they're giant robots for swivel's sake. But if you're gonna include a full beard on a Transformers figure, at least paint it properly. I mean, what the fuck is this? Looks like whoever was painting it died halfway. And before any of you babies come out and say,
that's not actual facial hair, you fuck. Those are just mechanical components designed to look like facial hair. Stop talking shit about my god!
Yo, I know, and the figure does a shit job at replicating that. But despite the subpar beard, the head sculpt itself is actually excellent. I mean, it actually does look like a giant robot John Goodman. And another thing that makes him look like John Goodman is that he's not fat. That's not what I'm trying to say. He's just a little heavier built than most Transformers figures. Finally, a realistic body standard for Transformers fans. How did I let it get this bad? Let's get back to the head. The detail on the hard hat is fantastic, but if you weren't a fan of it for some reason, you could always remove it. Kind of terrifying, but a very nice touch. This also allows you to get a better look at his eyes, which are fantastically painted. How the hell does this figure have more love put into it than Optimus fucking Prime? It's insane how rushed Optimus Prime feels compared to this figure, especially when it comes to the Kibble. This figure's not perfect on that front, but it is way more cleaner and cohesive than this fucking shit show. The only Kibble that's really intrusive are his calves, but these wings here, perfectly fine. Now, I didn't hate Optimus Prime, as I said in that review, but looking at this figure makes me have second thoughts. So, being a munitions expert, Hound comes with quite a few accessories. You get a pair of what looks like miniguns, and those plug right into his hand, easy peasy. And I was never a fan of the unpainted gray plastic they use for Transformers figures, even though I know the reason for it. But these things have a great amount of detail that kind of makes up for that. And if you don't want him holding these, you can store them on his back. This is how it looks like on the box, and it's a pretty good look. Makes it look like a pair of smokestacks. And you get a pair of bigger guns that kind of look like the BFG from Doom. Any Doom players out there? Any H-Doom players out there? And these things complement the figure perfectly. Heavy guns for a heavy boy. And these guns could also be stored on his back. And as final accessory, you get what looks kind of like a jackhammer. But it is not a jackhammer, it's actually the core of what I could only call overkill. Goddamn! This thing is so big that it kind of weighs down on his arm a bit, but man, is it worth it. This is a great Transformers weapon. But if you want to display him without his weapons and don't want to keep this thing in a dirty Ziploc bag, you can store this on his back. A competently executed weapon storage system makes me want to fucking bust. Weapon storage, fantastic detail, perfectly distributed Kibble. How can this guy get any better? Don't play stupid with me, I think you know how. Ball joint at the head, can look up that far and look down that far. Rotation at the arm moves out, bicep swivel. Double bend at the elbow. Wrist can move up.
Wrist swivel?
For such a fat fuck, he has a great degree of waist swivel. Crotch guard moves up. Allows for a kick. Can't move back that far. Beautiful spread. Thigh swivel. Bend at the knee. No ankle pull. An ankle pivot on a Voyager class figure? Fuck the Eclipse. This is the real miracle. Got a toe bend. And because his feet are obviously tired, his ankle has a swivel here. And surprisingly, it's not frustratingly loose. If you listen closely, you can hear that it's a very soft ratchet joint. Posability on this guy is surprisingly great. It's surprising not only because he's a fat
man.
I just didn't expect fucking Hound to get this much love. Optimus Prime has truly left us, but I won't deny there's some trouble in paradise. Even though the wheel feet are not frustratingly loose, they're frustratingly tiny. So it makes standing up the figure kind of a pain. But if you didn't want to stand them up, you can bring in a figure stand of your choice. In this case, I'm using a Bennett Imaginations Act 5 stand. And you will believe that John Goodman can fly. You'll also believe that this figure is pretty big. Not my best segue, but then again, I don't write any of this shit. Here's Figma Matic Economy, SH Monsters Godzilla, Masterpiece Optimus Prime, Deluxe Class Last Night Barricade, and the Voyager Class Optimus Prime. Why the fuck does Hound have a better figure than Optimus Prime? Get your priorities straight. Not only is the robot mode surprisingly fantastic, the transformation is brilliant. Take a look for yourself. And here we have the truck mode. And pardon my overuse of the word, but this thing is fantastic. How the hell did a roly-poly robot John Goodman turn into such a cohesive and relatively slim vehicle mode? Not only that, the painting of the sculpting on this mode is not too shabby. The windows are not transparent, but they are painted in this nice glossy blue. And his doors have what looks like to be a Decepticon kill count. You know, good for the kid. And the wheels on this thing go round and round, but they're also painted in a way that makes them look like they're covered in sand. Of course, the effect could have been done better, but considering the budget they probably had for these figures, it's amazing that they included this detail at all. As for Kibble, what Kibble? No, seriously, what Kibble? Tell me, you fucking nitpicky son of a bitch! As almost all Transformers figures, you can see the robot mode when you flip this thing over, but this has got to be one of the cleanest alternate modes I've seen in a Transformers figure yet. The head is well hidden. The arms, yeah, you can see them, but they look like a decent part of the truck mode. But just like the robot mode, I feel that the vehicle mode can use some detailed paint, but again, no use in complaining, you could do it your own damn self. And because this area was the back of the robot mode, you can attach that overkill gun. I'm not usually a fan of when weapons get stored on the back of a vehicle mode, but this actually makes sense. It kind of acts as a turret. I mean, it could even move up and even rotate. So here, this mode can roll really well, and that's due to some engineering trick that makes those soft ratchets from the robot mode completely disappear. Amazing. So the robot does compress to get into this mode, but he's still a pretty big boy. Godzilla Prime, Barricade, and Optimus Prime. Of course, I think Optimus Prime's truck mode is fantastic as well, but if we're talking the overall, this figure's amazing. For a character I know nothing about from a movie I couldn't give less of a shit about, this figure surprised the hell out of me. The only real negative that I can point out is that it makes me absolutely hate this Optimus Prime. So definitely get this figure if you actually like those Transformers movies, or if you're just a Transformers fan in general. And being a John Goodman fan also helps. So hopefully you're sold on this figure as much as I am, so why not get it at the Big Bad Toy Store! If you're into YouTube toy reviews, you know who the hell Big Bad Toy Store is. And if you don't know about the Big Bad Toy Store, well, I'm glad that I'm introducing you to it. They've got a huge catalog of figures that I won't bother listing here. Just check out their website, links in the description. As for the Voyager Class Hound, they do have it at the Big Bad Toy Store, but it's included in a 2-pack with the Last Night Voyager Class Megatron. Which means you could all shut the fuck up. If you didn't get it the first time I showed you,
See you next time.